It is. I'm going to get a heart attack at this right now. Kidding, obviously, but... Alright. Okay, guys, so here we are once again. Clash of the Titans, game number 2 between FeAge and EdGaR. And I literally just remembered that I haven't actually updated the scores at the top of the screen. But just imagine that there is a little 1 next to FeAge's name right now.
I'm sure people do have the imagination to make this possible, so guys, get it done.
Get that imagination working. Anyway, up to the north of the map in blue, we have, of course, got EdGaR. He's playing as Huns, and...
down over to the left side over there, we've got FeAge playing in red because we have team colors on and we're going to get it right this time.
Definitely. So, Arabia-Hun War. Why am I not surprised?
I don't know, it's been pretty much the second game of every series so far. I am surprised though that EdGaR picked it against FeAge.
Yeah, I am extremely surprised. But you know what? FeAge is not so much a 1v1 player. He's a much more team game sort of guy. And although, yes,
you're exactly right.
You know, he has done well in 1v1 tournaments, but he's more well known for his 1v1 style of play. His team game style of play. But, you know, as you said, Arabia, bread and butter of AOC, and if one of these players is truly better, then this is the map where it's going to show.
Exactly, and I think the route EdGaR might have been taking to make this decision is, he knows FeAge is rusty, Arabia requires a lot of precision, because of course the builds are usually relatively the same, and from there, if you're not quick enough and if you slip up, you can definitely fall behind very quickly.
Yeah, you can do, indeed. But anyway, I think we should take a quick look at the maps right now, and I would certainly say that EdGaR has a pretty decent map in comparison to FeAge. If we have a look, his gold is pretty close to his TC, and he does have really nice wood on the front that he can very easily wall up. So if he wants to, walling a very easy option for him. Going to be slightly open on the right side, possible to wall the left, but that gold in a pretty reasonable position for him.
Yeah, looking at FeAge at the moment, he's got his gold on the front, stone on the front, does have not even a nice wood in the back, I want to say. Because
Yeah.
those ponds always make life hard, because of course archers do get behind them, and they're practically impossible to get rid of then. But at the front of his map, looking at this hill, really going to be dangerous there, especially if he puts the gold mine down there, because of course anything pushing in from EdGaR at that point going to get a pretty big advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we could see a tower on that from FeAge here, or he could just decide to play nice and aggressive to kind of detract from the fact that he is in a pretty bad position with his map. In terms of where he could put his buildings to keep that gold safe, he could put them on the top of the hill, but that's so far away from his TC that it is a little bit risky to wall that far out.
Exactly, and if a Feudal scout manages to come in and see that happening, if his opponent gets up earlier, potential lost villager there, not going to be able to get back to the town centre, because of course it will be going downhill as well, so really just a bad situation all round.
Makes it a little more difficult. I was just watching FeAge's scout there, thought he was going to lame that ball from EdGaR there, maybe feeling a little bit more chivalrous today, and not going to do that.
Yeah, I won't lie, I was definitely hoping for a double boar steal to open us up, but you know, when you're rusty, boar stealing definitely takes a bit of skill to do. Lots of people do say it is based around luck, but it takes a pretty even chance of both, in my opinion.
Well, I think the lucky thing is the fact that the boar is on the front. After that, it is skill. I mean, you've still got to micro your scout back to your base. You can't just send him straight back, otherwise the boar will run back as he gets out of range. You do have to zigzag it back, and doing that whilst maintaining and setting up your initial economy, which is so important for the rest of the game, kind of, you know, just takes skill.
Oh, definitely. The speed you require to be able to actually do it successfully and not pretty much lose your scout or lose too much HP to make it worth having. Really difficult task.
Yeah, certainly. I'm interested to see if FeAge is going to do... Oh, sorry, no, he won't. I was going to say if either of them were going to do a drush, but they both actually have 3 villagers on wood right now, so pretty uncommon to see a drush at the moment. EdGaR just adding another villager in, but it's the 7-minute mark. No chance of a barracks coming down now unless he wants to do a really late drush. Chances are we're going to see a fast feudal from both of them, and from there, feudal war.
Yeah, definitely sounds about right. We've got FeAge actually going up at the moment on 20 population compared to EdGaR. Looks like he's going to go up on 22 right now if he can get the food count. Shouldn't be too much of a problem.
I think he is
FeAge
aiming for
there,
that.
really going to be able to really push some aggression if he chooses to now.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's in a little bit of it's a different situation, I suppose. When you're going with 20 population, it is a very small number of villagers to go up with as opposed to the 22 that is more standard. Will allow you to put on a little bit of earlier pressure, but of course, you still have to have enough economy to keep that villager production up, and you still have to have enough economy to produce the units at the same time. So, I'll be interested to see what FeAge is going for here, and I think maybe he's going to add some scouts. As he has got a little bit of food right now, and he is still continuing to take those sheep. But then again, not adding in any farms, so kind of curious to see what he's going to do here.
Well, look at his wood total right now. He needs to save up for that all-important stable. If he doesn't get that up in time, just the 20 pop feudal, not really worth it, honestly. So my guess is he's going to go from there. Has a lot of food in the bank, so can start scout production quite early and keep villager production up quite for a while, and really until he runs out of sheep and berries, not going to have too much trouble with farms, because hopefully won't be spending any more. And saying that, he puts up an archery straight away.
Yeah,
Naturally.
You know, if he was going to go for scouts, he probably would have added in those farms a lot sooner, but interestingly he went up on 20, so kind of curious. EdGaR, though, coming forwards here, FeAge scouting it straight away, and he has sent 5 villagers forwards. Let's see if FeAge can actually kill off these villagers, or stop this from actually being a worthwhile sort of venture on EdGar's part.
Yeah, EdGaR definitely reading the map here well. If he could take this hill, would have been in a pretty aggressive position all game. That would have been really hard for FeAge to be able to deal with. Just looking at the map though here, EdGaR really losing a few villages here actually, but we're looking pretty even overall.
Yeah, one going down right there. He's starting to push out those militia, which is interesting. Adding in some spearmen right now, and kind of cool. We're seeing some just like trash basically, which is more interesting in a lot of ways.
Yeah, of course. Militia are actually going to be really handy right now because they will be able to clear in on those skirmishes, and of course they do have 1 pierce armor from the get-go, so only going to be taking 1 damage from them.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit concerned for FeAge right now. He's had to stop villager production. He didn't seed those farms. He's actually got no food coming in and no villager production at all, which is kind of worrying.
This is possibly the worst situation you can be in. You want to have constant villager production all game, and he can't even produce really any military right now. He is in a lot of trouble.
It's really confusing to me. I mean, I don't understand why he went up on 20 population and then intended to go with skirmishes, because obviously in this kind of situation, if you're going to go up that early, you want to be taking gold so that you can keep those villages being made, basically. The fact that he chose to go skirmishes, which is a food unit, it's kind of curious, because that's now stopped him from producing villagers, and he's in a little bit of a bad position here.
Yeah, before I really want to say anything on this matter, I really want to go back and check the wreck, because of course he could have scouted that forward earlier, and if that was the situation, if he did scout it coming up, he knew there was going to be a forward barracks, and that means spearmen pretty quickly, and of course villagers can take out spearmen, can take out scouts, of course, quite early in the game, especially if they're massed. So skirmish is a good choice in that kind of matter, but really gonna have to see what happened there. I think we'll have to go back and take a look at some point.
Yeah, I think so too, but nice choice from EdGaR with that tower on the hill. That's going to stop FeAge from taking gold, and if you have a look, he actually has no way to take gold right now. He's going to be relying purely on food and wood, as his other golds are way too out of the way to realistically take safely.
Yeah, EdGaR on stone already as well, so it looks like he is ready to start pushing with more towers as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, we're going to see that right now, going up over on the left-hand side. Not the best place for a tower, because FeAge actually doesn't have many woodcutters there. They're mostly in the back, but even so, going to be putting a tower there. That will deny FeAge that wood camp as well, and it's better than nothing, of course, and he can, from there, probably move in some more as well.
Exactly. At this point, it's just restricting the amount of space FeAge has access to, and of course, anywhere he can be fighting, if he has covering fire from those towers, tower fire really strong in Feudal Age, so going to be able to really have a good position.
Yeah, certainly. EdGar's also putting up a stable back at home. Interesting if we'll see some scouts from him. I'm kind of thinking at the moment he's just going for, like, you know, spearmen and skirmishes. Adding in some scouts wouldn't be a bad choice.
Yeah, especially looking at the amount of skirmishes FeAge has, and they're actually moving out towards EdGar's base right now. If he does manage to catch them with scouts, pretty much GG army, and FeAge going to be in a lot of trouble.
Certainly. I mean, his score isn't too far behind right now, but he's certainly not playing this how he really wants to. Could even lose this archery range as well, which is certainly going to be annoying. Losing all of that wood so early in the game, a real pain, really. But let's see what FeAge can really do with these skirms. See if he can actually get some damage done at EdGar's base. Of course, he's not actually walled.
Yeah, FeAge coming with the defensive tower there, however, I think he will lose the archery range no matter what. But if he manages to move in with these skirmishes, take a few villages, gonna be able to start to claw his way up, but it's definitely gonna take a bit.
Yeah, certainly. EdGaR as well with 2 scouts, almost 3 right now. Potentially getting a couple of villages. There's 1, maybe 2 will go down, but those scouts could really disrupt this if he gets 4 or 5 out. FeAge now going to be chased across the map by them, and that's really bad news for him.
Yeah, FeAge getting pretty much denied any harass there really quickly. Is slowly killing off the scouts, so whittling them down, but once the scouts manage to take out the opposing scout, they're going to be able to really push the skirmishes out of position and do some damage from there.
Yeah, FeAge, they're bringing over a spearman, so able to react to that pretty well. And, you know, I think he just had too many skirmishes there for just 3 scouts to actually make a difference. I actually thought EdGaR there would have actually saved up until he had 5 or 6 and then released them, rather than just letting 3 scouts out, because that just really wasn't enough there. So FeAge going to be disrupting his economy, but at home, still just about hanging on. And EdGaR seems to be lifting off the pressure a little bit there.
Yeah, EdGaR actually forced to bring his skirmishes home, which is really going to give FeAge some room to move, which is nice. And FeAge actually taking the gold over on the right of his town centre now.
Yeah, kind of a risky spot indeed. Obviously, EdGaR could come in there and pick those villagers off pretty easily. At the moment, though, with only skirmishers, not going to be the best raiding unit, as we know, but maybe later on, if FeAge is still forced to take this gold, knights or cavalry archers are going to be a real nuisance over there.
Yeah, looks like we will see a skirmisher war up to the top of the map, though those scouts definitely going to make a difference at this point.
Yeah, I think that FeAge, with the scout there disrupting them, EdGaR could have really moved in and actually capitalized on that a little sooner, but potentially going to lose this fight right here. FeAge forced to run away, but at the same time, EdGaR not putting the pressure on at FeAge's base anymore, and FeAge sort of able to recoup a little bit and kind of get back on his feet.
Yeah, FeAge actually going up into double stable right now. Something we don't often see, actually, because of the food cost on it. But I feel like the game's developed enough at this point. We are at the 20-minute mark where we'll actually be able to sustain it, looking at the amount of farms he has.
Yeah, he should be able to keep up production there from his TC and the 2 stables. Maybe he needs a couple more farms for this. Let me just work it out. 3... Yeah, he should have just about enough, seeding a couple more as well. So... should just be about to balance this out, but of course that is going to delay his castle age. However, if he can make enough massed up units at this stage, he could still win it in the feudal age, in which case castle age it doesn't really even come into mind.
Yeah, looking at EdGaR's resources right now, he has no way to get up into castle at all, just looking at 35 food in the bank and 100 gold. So definitely not looking like he's going to get anywhere quickly right now. However, he's about to put the hammer back on FeAge right now.
Oh, certainly. He's got a very mixed army at the moment. Mostly skirmishers. A few spears in there as well to deal with any of FeAge's scouts. But at the moment, FeAge with a much superior combination. Archers and scouts, the strongest feudal age combination you can pretty much have. And looking at the upgrades, no fletching for EdGaR right now, which is actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah, of course, that's going to make microing for FeAge a little bit easier here. Of course, that little bit of extra damage from skirmishes is always needed as well, especially when you're picking off villages, because 2 base damage pretty much completely negated by villages, even though that 3 is, but as soon as he gets up into the next upgrade, he's going to be able to do a little bit more damage.
Yeah, definitely. FeAge does seem, though, like he's lacking a little bit of army here. There are a lot of skirmishes sort of bearing down on him, and even with a little hill advantage here, FeAge going to be in a little bit of a tough position. Might want to bring these villages into the fight. It would certainly be a good idea right now, as he could probably come off on top if he does actually add them in.
Yeah, losing a lot of scouts to spears at the moment, which is never a nice situation to be in. EdGaR slowly pushing his way up the hill here. Villagers coming into the fight, though, and against skirmishers, quite effective.
Yeah, definitely, and certainly going to disrupt the skirmishes there. And EdGaR, what seemingly looked like a bigger army, suddenly starting to melt away as he's got nothing to fight the scouts with. And FeAge going to actually defend this pretty nicely. And now, if FeAge looks at the score, he's certainly going to feel reassured.
Oh, definitely. After taking a win like that, that looked like his entire opponent's army, and I think it was actually.
I think it was
so
too.
FeAge, yeah, going to be able to move in here pretty much unopposed.
Yeah, straight away, sending that counter-attack over across the map. And EdGaR, as we said earlier, not walling up, having to put a watchtower up on this gold right now, and adding in a second stable. Gonna be forced to defend here, and I think it's gonna be pretty tough for him. No walls up, and scouts coming in from FeAge right now.
Yeah, FeAge still even one step up, actually putting up his 3rd stable right now. EdGaR forced to put up a defensive tower on those gold, though.
Yeah, that tower is certainly not ideal. Obviously, spending that stone is going to be Well, to be fair, he actually does have 240 left still, so it's not like the case where he puts the tower up and he's going to have to take stone to get his new TCs up, but at the moment I really think the focus is just all-out feudal war, and if that is the case, then FeAge certainly is looking to be pretty far ahead at this moment in time.
Yeah, I thought EdGaR was in a really good position before, but FeAge managing to pull it back extremely well here, and hopefully with his scout play at the moment, saying that he has got bloodlines and the +1 armor, but so does EdGaR. Really going to be interesting to see how both players try and finish this one off, because of course FeAge is reduced in map size a little bit there, can't really push out past those towers, but EdGaR, no walls at all, so going to have to be cautious where he puts his villages.
Yeah, certainly, and FeAge now focusing on taking down these farms, and to be fair, that's actually a pretty good decision to make. Obviously these farms costing a fair bit of wood, and obviously for that to go to waste is a pretty big deal. He'll just be trying to raid as much as he can there. EdGaR though, sending those scouts over to the gold camp of FeAge, just to be a bit of a nuisance.
Going to be a really good call here actually as well. He might manage to snag a few villages and he gets a good hill advantage there. Could potentially snag some scouts there as well. Like you said with the farms though, at this point in the game, trying to produce villages and scouts off two stables, not an easy thing to maintain. If you start losing farms, and of course that means wood as well, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Definitely, but I think EdGaR now going to be in even more trouble because FeAge didn't put that extra stable up to make more scouts. He put it up intentionally to make those knights once he gets up to the castle age, and he has just clicked up with a lot of farms, a little bit, well, no gold at the moment, but he's going to try and get back onto gold. But I think he's going to be going for knights once he gets up to the castle age, and EdGaR, still way too far from castle at this stage, may just be under a little bit too much pressure once he gets up to the castle age now.
Yeah, I know how people say they hate it when we start calling games, but once that castle age happens, it looks like EdGaR doesn't really... Well, he's not in a position to up at all. He's still trying to get enough army to be able to deal with out of FeAge. Once the tech bonus hits for FeAge, definitely going to be able to go straight up into crossbow if he chooses to. Knights, potentially even light cavalry actually, yeah. Considering.
I was thinking that too. He has a lot of scouts here, and you can see how many EdGaR has. That light cavalry upgrade certainly going to be worth it. Adding in another archery range as well. And you know what? He's actually continuing... Well, he was just continuing scout cavalry production, so we could see light cavalry indeed. And maybe cavalry archers, as he is looking a little bit low on gold right now, and cavalry archers a little bit of a better choice for that.
Yeah, definitely. Light cavalry, of course, nice and cheap, but knights, really hard to keep up production. And there's the castle age. I'm interested to see how we see EdGaR react to this.
Yeah, well, light cavalry upgrade for FeAge is done, but EdGaR reacts with a little bit of a counter coming straight back in. Those scouts getting into the wood there. FeAge going to lose maybe 2, 3, or 4 villagers, but EdGaR getting a nice little push, and FeAge going to have to respond quickly. But light cavalry about to be done, and EdGaR is actually trapped in the back of FeAge's base right now.
Yeah, that's 4, 5, potential 6 or 7 villages there going to be lost for FeAge, but like we said, he is in a pretty dominating position right now. He's got that light cavalry upgrade, which is worth a lot of merit, and of course, once he gets that +2 armor, going to be in a really good spot to do some damage. Knights actually out for FeAge as well, starting to take these towers down.
Yeah, certainly. And I think EdGaR actually not in such a bad position. That was a really good raid by him. Of course, he is still pretty much scrambling at this stage to get up to the castle age, whilst he still continues to create scouts from 3 stables. That's a lot of food, and you know he's really struggling at this stage to get his food count high enough to actually afford that upgrade.
Yeah, only sitting on 200 food right now, so gonna have a pretty big issue there when it comes to going to castle age. That's the thing, like we were saying at the start of the game. Once you do commit to stable, it does really hurt your castle time. You commit to 2, it hurts it even more. Commit to 3, it makes it pretty much impossible.
Yeah, especially, you know, your economy in the dark and the feudal age, it grows so slowly as you only have that 1 TC. But I've got to say, EdGaR doing reasonably well, managing to pick off even more of FeAge's army at the front, and his score isn't too far behind. I think FeAge now, though, going to try and push that tech advantage, and perhaps going to try and hit his economy as much as he can.
Yeah, you're exactly right. EdGaR probably having a good economy bonus right now. However, FeAge is up with that 2nd town center. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3rd spring up on the gold, actually. But FeAge slowly being able to push his way back into this game and really starting to take a commanding position, which is really impressive considering the start.
Yeah, I mean, he is actually fighting against a huge mass of scout cavalry there and actually falling back a little bit to this hill here. But with the addition of the knights and the light cavalry upgrade, he's going to do big damage to EdGaR here as well. One thing that concerns me, though, for FeAge right now, EdGar's economy, so many towers up right here, and that is going to make it a little bit more difficult to actually do much raiding, especially with the light cavalry at this stage with only +1 defense.
Yeah, those towers are going to pretty much make his economy really hard to touch on really simple raids. The light cavalry, though, probably going to be able to get in there and out without taking too much damage. Thing is, though, once EdGaR gets up to the castle age, he is going to be able to produce so many knights off this.
Oh yeah, he is going to have a really good economy for it, but you know, he's not really taking much gold at the moment, and he doesn't really need to. He's really just focused on getting that food in right now, and I really think that at the moment he could probably stop his scout cavalry production, or, well, actually saying that, he is losing a hell of a lot in the center of the map right now.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Knight's just so damn effective versus everything. Very versatile unit, can get in there, and, well, as far as melee damage goes, they've got 2 armor to base off compared to the 0 of scouts, and then you get the upgrades on them. Doesn't make life easy at all for either.
Yeah, especially, I mean, almost double the health on that, almost double the attack, and as you said, over double the armor. It's quite a significant difference there, and EdGaR now, I think, adding in some more spears as well just to fight this off, and I'm wondering if he's ever going to get out of Feudal here.
Yeah, looking at the way his resources have been going up and down, it's going to be pretty hard. FeAge actually putting up a town center on that gold as well that we called before.
Yeah.
Definitely going to give him a stronger economy here, plus something to run back to, so that gold no longer really a raiding choice for EdGaR.
Yeah, well, the thing is now, FeAge really doesn't need to spend that many resources on repelling this. I mean, knights are going to be enough. He can add cavalry archer as well, and I think he probably will add a few cavalry archers once he sees the spearmen from EdGaR here. Going to make that a little bit easier to take them out. But with the amount of knights he has, I wouldn't be surprised if this army from EdGaR here just starts to melt away, and it is doing exactly that.
That is exactly what happened. This shows you how big the tech advantage actually is right now. Even the spears at the moment not being able to do enough damage for these knights. Pike from FeAge as well here, so light cavalry scouts pretty much going to melt in front of them. So and there's the GG.
Yeah, there we go. Big battle on the front. Of course, EdGaR there, I think he just kind of decided, you know, I'm just going to put everything into this, see if I can break him, and if I don't manage it, then it's going to be GG. And obviously FeAge there managing to take that army out with too many knights to spare, and EdGaR just saying GG. I felt that was a good decision at that point to call it.
Yeah, he nearly had the resources to go up to Castle Age now, only lacking out on a little bit of food, but
yeah,
due to the fact that he just lost his entire army and FeAge was just ready to have a good run at him, and it looks like he was going forward with villagers actually, pretty much means at this point, by the time he got into Castle Age, he wouldn't have been able to do anything about this.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I actually think that EdGaR, if he'd have actually held back with that army, and he'd actually got up to castle, maybe he would have been able to, with the light cavalry upgrade and the amount of economy he had, maybe he would have actually been able to hold it and push back a little bit. But, you know, at this stage of the game, he was behind by 2 TCs for quite some time, and FeAge was just starting to pull ahead slowly but surely.